files typed up at the end of the war?
Sorry?
The ones you can actually see at Kew, were they suddenly typed up right at the end?
No, they weren't. Um, those were the records that were compiled in Changi during the war, and Nelson handed over the
Yes,
files.
but all the other bits say that he was actually recording the details on scraps of paper, anything he could find.
Yeah.
And these are quite nicely typed up. Well, comparatively nicely typed up. So
Well,
were
yeah.
they sort of typed up on the Japanese surrender or something from the scraps?
I don't think so. I think you actually do have some handwritten scraps of paper there, but they
That's
did
right.
have
My dad.
they did have typewriters at the BRE, and they used them. They did type up the records, because you can see if you take the nominal rolls, they use whatever paper they get hold of, and they were all typed up on target paper. So if you look at this paper and you think, what's these blooming black marks, big round discs?
But if you actually look at a roll, the date, it goes overseas, overland, or whatever, they're all, they've obviously all been typed up at the same time. If you see what I mean,
I believe, to be honest, Tim, they were typed up by the BRE at the time.
Yeah.
The one thing that strikes me is the rolls you see of the overland and overseas all came from Changi.
Oh yes, I know. No, I realise. I know that.
So I do wonder what happened to the other ones that were at Adam Park or River Valley Road or whatever that went up on the railway. But no, I believe they were typed up at the time, Tim, because of the paper they're on, dark green paper.
Yes, it's just whatever they must have been a bit later on after the event, because
it would have been a couple of days, because they had to keep track of the men. This was their greatest fear. If they didn't keep track of the men,
yes, but if you look at the roll, all the dates on the right-hand column have been typed up at the same time, and they might well span 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But didn't the sheets that they were done at the PRE, didn't they have 3 weeks after didn't it take 3 weeks after the liberation to get all that much information together?
That's what I was wondering, if that's what happened.
Again, could be a possibility.
Or towards the end, because
before they started dispersed again to get all that information, what they got together, it was a major somebody who sort of said, let's have everybody's got something written down or whatever, let's get it all in. So we've got proof. We're not just saying, here's a bit of paper that says this. Let's get it all together.
I mean, that would tie in with David Nelson saying he was using any old scrap of paper that he could lay his hands on to write the lists on.
Yeah, you can certainly see that from the assault on the paper there is. Some of them, I must admit, some of them in 361, I do wonder, but I take your point.
Certainly, my dad's regiment's roll has actually got handwritten paper copies in between each page. For my dad, it says, last heard Java Tanjok Priok, and that's handwritten. And most of the others have the same. There's a handwritten page inserted in with the roll page. It's actually quite interesting, because I've never actually seen that in another file.
No, I mean, some of them it looks like information was coming in later on and being added.
Yes.
So yeah, it could well have been added, as you say, within those 3 weeks after.
Well, I think they must have been typed up sometime towards the end. I mean, maybe not necessarily in the 3 weeks, but certainly in the last year, because otherwise the dates in the right-hand column wouldn't all be typed in. They'd be sort of.
Yeah, I must. I would have to go through and have a. I've got my father's regiment's rolls here. Go through and have a look, and see what dates are actually covered, and then go from there.
Yes.
To answer, to try and answer the question, but there's always a what if factor, Tim.
I know that. That's why I'm asking you. You're the expert.
No, not really. It's just, you try and put the story together as best you can. We've got something on the Cofipo site, and we have a couple of emails. How can you post this? This is wrong. Blah blah blah. And you go back to them and say, look, hold on. This is original documentation. This was typed up at this date in 1942, and these men were not where they should have been, so they were missing. Now, the fact that your father was found on Java later on and survived the war, okay. But at the time this report was written up, they didn't know where he was. He was classed as missing. And we've still got to write. I've got to write an explanation for that on the site, because people tend to get a bit upset and say, well, he's missing. Obviously, they think he's dead. No, he's missing. And it's very hard to try and get this over to people. It's missing means just that. Missing means he's not here, and we don't know where he is, and we don't know what's happened to him. And again, in the regimental nominal roll, that's been corrected. But on this original one, dated 16th of February 1942, I think it was, they haven't been corrected, because that report was just submitted, and this is the state of play at that date. So, that's an interesting
one. But my dad, you see, if you look at all the rolls that got my dad on, they all say Java. So he was actually eventually in Japan, but he was on the Singapore Maru with the Mystery Party, which of course never went near Changi.
Right.
So because they changed ships in the Singapore docks.
That's right.
So no one at Changi knew exactly who was in that party. It's one of the few parties there was no list, or there's no list even from Java.
No list that survived, is there? That's right.
Yeah.
It's quite.
So you can't even take the roll as being dead accurate.
No.
Let alone a missing, even though it said Java. It wasn't there.
Yeah. No, it's frustrating, but of course, you look at it, if you can look at the card.
Yes. No, I worked it out eventually.
It's a case of that's what you have to try and do, but it's ever so frustrating. I'll be very honest. There's no one-stop shop, is there?
No.
No, I'll have to.
It's quite.
I have to have a think about that one.
Good. Give you something else to do.
Oh yeah.
The other thing I was saying about Q files. Have you ever used Fold 3 instead of Find My Past? Because when they had their free weekend last year, I looked at it, and there's one heck of a lot of files that have actually been transcribed onto Fold 3.
Fold 3?
Yeah, I've looked at Fold 3. But it's dead.
But these are the BRE files, and I was amazed at what was actually on Fold 3.
But you can't download them. You can't download them.
You can download the information, though.
You can't download them. You can just write the information you can get on the screen.
Is that all?
Yeah.
I've never tried it, but
there is a lot of information there. I tried to copy, I tried to download, it wouldn't let me do either. And you basically got to, I couldn't even do a screenshot. You have to write it all down.
Was that as a member, Matt, or was that as a member, or just on their free weekend?
No, but they're not, they actually state these are not downloadable. You can't, they're available if you come on site. Or if you are a member.
But I was quite amazed at.
So it's Fold 3. Is that
called Fold 3? Sorry?
FOLD 3.
Yes, it's part of. It's either part of FMP or part of Ancestry. I can't remember, but they make you have a subscription to.
Okay.
But I think it's more American.
If you want to copy the files, Tim, why didn't you use what I call a screen capture? Just capture the screen.
Yes, no, I could. I didn't actually want to copy anything at the time, but I suppose I did. I should have, but I wasn't thinking about it because it was a free weekend, and I was so intrigued at looking at what they got available that I didn't actually get round to that bit.
Yeah, but that's one way if you do a screen capture.
Yes, no, I quite often do that.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm sending someone.
Let me do it. Hang on. I've got the. Just trying to find the. Where is it? The link for Fold 3. Here somewhere. Got so many.
I don't know if you can see that, Tim. Can you see that?
Well, I did a minute ago. It's gone again.
Is it there? Can you see it there now?
Well, I've got a blank screen. Yes.
Just
the map's gone.
What about the other one? Can you see this thing? It's like a technical drone.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because
there's nothing coming on there.
No, I don't
nothing.
know. No.
I don't know what.
I'll try it again.
Nope. No. The presentation. Somewhere or other, I've got a link.
Oh,
wow.
Got that.
Right.
Base plate to main stanchions.
That's right. Yeah, that's actually that file I was just talking to Keith about. On the other side is actually a handwritten note. So they took this from the workshop with them. And when they were in the camp, they've actually wrote on the back. So that's like Keith was saying, they were using any kind of bits of paper they could get.
Oh, right. I see what you mean. Yeah.
So this was actually a technical drawing from the workshop that they had. And they thought, well, we need something to write on. So they wrote on the back of that.
It's on the back side. Yeah, why not? I've saved a link to Fold 3. I can't find, but I'll find and post on the web page.
All right, okay.
I was looking at it the other day. I was just annoyed that I couldn't copy, I couldn't download, I couldn't do anything with it. And it was like, you can't do any of this unless you come in person or you remember the Q archives. I'm trying to follow that. I don't know. We've lost Sophie.
There are some people who copy Q files quite cheaply. Far cheaper than Q.
Andy Newton, 10p.
Oh, yeah. You know him, yeah. That's right. That's who I use.
He's done quite a bit for me, and they're amazing. He really does good work. But again, he's been stopped a couple of times now. Even though he's a member, he can do that. He had to have a little time off because they complained he was going in there and photoing too many documents.
Oh.
I think that's terrible. I mean, it's the National Archives. It should be free to anybody.
Yeah.
And you should be able to do what you like with them.
Yeah, I've never been stopped at all.
No. But I mean, when you consider it, the Australian one is so much better.
Yeah. I think it's because he's a registered researcher with him and he gets access to files that aren't released to the public yet. Because he got some that I wanted, which are due for release till 2024. And he got them a couple of years ago. And I think that because he stopped doing that now, he can get anything else, but anything that's not been released, he doesn't do.
I think that release date's just been put there, and it doesn't actually mean that much. It's just they haven't.
I think it's not because you can request any file and get it and look at it. But I think it's because they realised he was photographing it and taking that copy away. And I think that's why it may have been.
That may be. Because I know,
if you do it and it's on the release date, yeah, you can do what you like with it. But if it's,
Yeah.
we can't. You can see them, but you can't take a copy of them. I think maybe, but I don't know.
No,
Oh.
I've never tried that. Right, so
Well,
Ronnie was talking about going back to.
Can we do Kevin's bit, because I shall have to set off soon, and I'm anxious to see what Kevin's got for us. Sorry, Kev.
No, it's all right. Don't worry, I'm fine.
So, Kevin, come on, put your map back up and tell us your story.
Okay then. Right, wait a minute.
No, got it.
All right.
What's that look?
Nice picture.
Looks like a bit of the moon or something.
There we go.
Falling off.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, then. Right. Move across. Right, for the I think I mentioned this about the in that talk I did about the ships who left Singapore and they were heading for Java, and so obviously their route would have been like this way. And this is the Bangka Strait here. Obviously, the ships that were heading for Java were going to go through there, but of course they run straight into the Japanese invasion force, which was attacking Palembang. First 3 ships got sunk. Obviously, the men either died or drowned or got captured. But there was one ship that didn't. This had also been ordered to go to Java. And the idea was that they were going to set up an RAOC workshop in Java. The 4th ship, which was called the Malacca, was following the same route. And just by chance, they picked up a stranded sailor whose ship had been sunk by this invasion force. And that sailor told the captain that anybody heading that way didn't have a chance. So he decided to sail back up to this other escape route which I mentioned in my talk, and that's to go along the river here, and they end up in Reigate.
Yeah.
Just go at the other picture.
Yeah.
Can you see that picture now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the that's a blown up picture of where they sailed into this river up here to this place, and they actually met up with some more RAOC men who were actually on the Dragonfly or the Grasshopper. That ship had been sunk.
That's right.
So they picked up a couple of them there and then sailed as far as they could get. The ship was actually a minesweeper. They probably couldn't get all the way up the river. They might have got up the Rengat, but from there they would have transferred to maybe a smaller ship. And they sailed up to this place, Ilia Malek. From there, the Dutch controller had organised lorries to take them overland to the railhead here. And then they got the train to Padang and arrived there on the 20th of February. And obviously there was a group of people here who would have travelled, escaped Singapore. They'd all travelled the same route across Sumatra to Padang. And on the 23rd, they actually boarded the Dutch vessel, the Tinoba, and that sailed all the way to Bombay, and that's how they got away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But the commanding officer of the ZAOW, which is RAOC, he actually stayed behind. And also the senior officer from the 14th section RAOC, he stayed behind as well. Obviously because the ships were full. And them two got on another ship, and that was actually going to sail to Australia, and that got sunk, and them both got killed.
Oh.
So luckily, by sheer chance, they picked up that sailor who told them not to go that way. They actually escaped, and they were the only ones that actually escaped from there.
Wow.
That's
So that was
very
quite
interesting.
interesting just to find out that, because I had them names, and I just couldn't find how they escaped. And it was just by actually going to queue to get them records and waiting through the records.
And well done, Kevin.
That had been wrote. So it was quite good. Actually, Keith, I was thinking about writing to Michael Pether, because he's done a lot of research on that sort of stuff.
Oh, but, yes, he has.
I don't know if he's got that document. And I'll write to him because he'd probably find that interesting.
He would find it very, very interesting. Yeah.
Because it is mentioned on the COFIPO website about the escape ships. The Malaccas is mentioned, but it's nothing about it. So, yeah, he might be interested. No?
Yeah, no, he would be interested.
I'll say that to him.
Yeah, no, good idea. Good idea, Kevin.
Well, I'm going to shoot off in a moment, but Keith will know this only too well.
Yep. Got
a
copy.
Arrived
got a copy
on
for Ronnie as well.
Yeah. And this is super. I can't speak highly enough. I mean, I enjoyed the other 2 books that they've done. I'd been to the doctors that morning, and the doctor said I've got very high blood pressure. That's dealing with Mum and all her problems, I think. And I just sat captivated by this book. Okay, it may not have subdued my blood pressure at times, because when I look at some of the pictures, they're horrendous, what they depict. But the book itself is superb. I can't speak highly enough of it. When we were there the other weekend for the Descendants weekend, I kept looking at one lady that you obviously knew quite well too, Keith, and that I eventually realised who it was. It was Jenny Wood. And a couple of conferences ago, I'd been really lucky enough to go out for an evening with Jenny, Sears Eldridge, and my friend Jackie for a meal, and it was such an entertaining evening talking about all the with Sears about all the camp concerts and things like that were on. But this book is fabulous, absolutely fabulous. I recommend everybody to get a copy. There's beauty in it. They were in paradise in a way, weren't they, these prisoners? But what it shows through their eyes, the eyes of the artists, it just tells it, doesn't it? Because there were no war photographers, there were no war artists there officially. All this was done in secret. And the tribute, to Meg, to Jeff, and to Jenny this time as well, for what they've produced, it's fantastic. And I'm really looking forward to the conference next June when we see and hear more. Be interesting if that Japanese historian comes as to what. Yeah,
well, that's what I was told.
What she thinks about it.
I've not actually seen it confirmed yet, so.
No. But it's a superb book, and I hope everybody will buy it and learn from it. They're not all professional artists. A lot of them were amateurs, but the skill and what it depicts is such an important part of the FIPO history and story, because we're actually seeing what they were seeing, and it's brilliant. Please go out and buy it. Okay. Right, that's my bit, and I'm going to say bye-bye to you as I must dash off.
See you Tuesday.
See you Tuesday. Yeah, see you, Matt. Okay, bye all.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, Jim's been sat there very quiet. He only asked his question and then said he'd gone quiet again, so let's give you a chance.
I don't know. I don't know how much to do lately because I've been that busy doing other things. But
yeah, well, I know the feeling.
I think Kevin ought to become a professional presenter, though. I think put one on once a month.
Not with me accent.
It's all the rage now, isn't it? The northeast, everybody's got an accent.
So Keith, going back to what you were saying about the Q files, we do have the OneDrive with all them files on. What do you reckon about using them? I mean, it's just for research.
I don't know. That's one thing. I'm not going to mention anything about it at all. I'm just going to ask for me. Yeah. From what I make out that I want to do this, which I do, not making out at all, and then seeing what the replies are, and then going back, reporting back, and saying, "Well, look."
Well, I'm just wondering.
I
actually
think it's really bad because they're public property. I mean, it's not. they're not owned
Well,
by
if they've been
Q.
released to the public
Well,
domain, you
yeah,
should be allowed to copy them.
copy them is one thing, but putting them on a website is another.
But isn't
But
it?
why?
I don't
Why?
know.
I mean, Q hasn't got.
I would have to
Still
ask
under
him. I
copyright,
just don't
Susan.
know. It's just
Yeah.
this. It's Crown copyright. They're all
Yes, but
Q
why?
files are Crown copyright.
Oh, I know,
Because-
I know that, but I mean, why?
But if
Yes,
they're
that's the
way it
public-
is,
I'm
public
afraid.
domain, doesn't that copyright cease?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I'm not even going to pretend to. That's what I want to find out. I want to find out more
It's your
information.
point, though.
Yeah, I want to find out more information. It's just I saw this notice yesterday and I thought, ooh, I don't like the look of that. So I'm
Yeah.
just going to start doing a lot more digging. If you go up to Q again, they've moved a load. We've lost a lot of tables in the reading room. The reading room's got a bit smaller because they're opening up an education area. I've noticed there's a lot of computers. There's got to be about 12 computers that are no longer outside for you to use. So there's obviously a lot of work going on at Q, doing other things. So, yeah.
But of course, I suppose the thing on our side, Keith, is that we are not doing it for money. We are doing it purely for research for other people,
That's
to
right.
help other
Yeah.
people. So I think that's the thing. Plus, say on our side, if you like,
Yeah,
we are not trying
yeah,
to profit
totally
from
agree.
it.
Totally agree.
Well, that's true, but I'm just wondering if you're taking information from Q, and like he said, okay, it's in public domain, but you may have the War Office copyright, I don't know. We're taking information from Q and publishing like I do on my page, and Roger Jerson, lots of people do. Are we then in breach of copyright, whatever?
That's what I'm going to try and find out.
That's what I'm concerned about, because I
Yeah,
do.
that's
for a
what
lot of
that's
people
what I want
we
to
all
find
do.
out. Because I'm going to
If
say,
it's our
that,
relatives, and we say, what, this is your dad's service record, this is what I've managed to find out where he was. Oh, we've got it for information.
if you're doing one-to-one research like that, I wouldn't think so. Like you're supplying people for records, with records, you are not doing it for money.
Yeah, that's it. But
That's very, very important. But you're not doing it for money. But I would
tell you what,
ask the
we did it
question.
for money, it costs a fortune. Take ages sometimes.
I will ask the question. Oh, I know. There's the genealogist I know. She charges £40 an hour. Another guy I know, Paul, who's a medal collector, he charges a flat fee for a job. So it's 25 quid. It can take 10 minutes. It can take 4 months. 25 quid a job. That's it. I don't charge. That's it. I just go to Q and do what I can and then pass the information on.
I know I was asked once by a lady in America if I could find information about her father, and I did, and gave it all the information and everything, and she said, "Oh, that's great, wonderful. We've always wondered, blah blah blah. How much do I owe you?" I said, "Don't owe me anything." And she said, "That can't be right. That's the information I've got, and I'm quite happy to share it with you." She said, "Well, can I send you something?" I said, "No, just accept the information. If you want to send some money, send it to a charity or something."
Yeah.
I don't want to. But she said, "But over here, it costs at least $200, $300.
Oh, yeah.
Not even that amount of information." I said, "Well, I'm not over there, I'm over here."
No, there are.
I don't interfere with American servicemen. I only look at basically UK, Irish, some Australians, some New Zealanders, some Canadians. But that's it. So,
yeah. So I'll do some digging and ask the questions and report back, because it's something that I want to know. Something that I would like to know, so that if we post a document from Q on a website, that we're not breaking any rules, or I'm not breaking any rules, and then I can pass that information on. As far as the liberation questionnaires go, COFIPO have permission. They've had permission now for some time, and I checked it a couple of years ago. It's no, you've got permission. You go get it done. So
yeah, just sometimes when it gets queue, sometimes has little hissy fits and goes a bit funny with people. Like you're having an easy fit at the moment, stupid cat.
But, yeah. Right, folks. Any more for any more? Because we not really seem to have had an agenda today, so.
Yeah,
well, I was expecting Ronnie to be here because there's obviously he sent topics to be chosen for discussion, and then a nice list. But of course he's not here, so he's obviously going through a bad time. So
I'll try and get hold of him later.
I hope things work out.
I'm sure he said he was going to be here or try, but I know he's having a few problems.
So when's the next meeting? Is it 21st?
I think Ronnie said it for the 21st. I can't confirm whether I'll be here or not because I've got to do a Christmas present run at some time to a friend on Facebook.
And we all.
I don't think I'll be going to Kew that weekend. That's the weekend just before Christmas. I don't know. I'll see what comes up. But if I can be here, I'll be here. But I can't guarantee it.
Kevin, are you doing your Christmas camps thing there?
Yeah, I've done like a video, but I've done it. It's reading a passage out of a book. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, as I say, it's from the prison camp that my father was in. So for me, I can imagine him being there that night. I'll post it probably the week leading up to that meeting. I'll post it on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah.
I already know.
Because it might be that. Yeah. A few more people might decide to come on that, and maybe they, to remember their own families at Christmas.
Yeah.
If you can't do it then, when can you? So
no, that's right.
That's true. By the way, 2020 calendar being done.
Sorry?
This is a 2019 calendar.
Yep.
Is there a 2021 being done?
The only reason the 2019 one was done was the dates were exactly the same as in. Let's have a look. It was exactly the same in 2019 as they were in 1946.
Yeah.
But so I think that's the only reason. That's the only reason it was done. To be perfectly honest, I don't think there's going to be another one. No. Not as far as I know.
I'll find out. Cough Power aren't doing one this year, are they?
No, no. This was done by Keith Bettenay. So always ask him on Facebook. Yeah, always ask him on Facebook if he's thinking of doing another one.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, send him a message because I got this off Roger. Cough Power used to saying that he used to send me one, but I no longer remember.
They haven't done one for years. You're not missing out. They haven't done one for years.
I'm sure I had one a couple of years ago, huh?
Not for Cofibo.
2017. I don't know.
I was going to say, Sophie. Sophie, would you be able to put on the Facebook about the blue jeans being available all the time, not just for these meetings?
Well,
if anybody who wanted to have a go didn't want to come onto the official meeting, they just wanted to have a shot of it, really. It's
Kevin, I don't think she can because I think Roger will get upset.
Yeah, let's check it out with Ronnie because
don't want to do anything which
there's a fee to all these things.
From the Feedback Charity website, and although it's available on Facebook, I don't think he wants Facebook members having free access to it.
No.
Charity members.
You know how Ronnie sends an invite every month.
Oh yeah,
twice a month. Well, if you click on your Blue Jeans anytime, it use that code, you get connected. But obviously, there's nobody there.
But what he was saying, he'd have to invite everybody on Facebook.
No. Anybody who's on the family charity, because he have the code.
Yeah, but he's saying they're on Facebook, so that's it. And I don't think he wants that because he got a bit irate with me after the last meeting. He's trying to push me out. I spent my life building up this site and it's mine. And I mean, I know you're under stress, Ronnie. Don't take it personally. No one's trying to observe you. You won't do it there. And these are just saying these are what was discussed. You can look at the meeting and look for yourself. And when he finally did look at the meeting a couple of days later, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, but he's under a lot of stress, and I can understand it. So he's a bit touchy about things at the moment."
Oh yeah, he's had a go at me. Don't worry about it.
And it's not the first time I've fallen out with him. It'll be the last.
No, likewise. I'm sorry if you put something in the public domain, Mister. It gets asked in the public domain, and if you don't like it, don't put it in the public domain. Simple as that.
I think the main thing is to get people communicating about stuff and talking about stuff in whatever way they feel comfortable.
And
some people will be okay with coming on this, and some people won't. It's just you can't make them.
Sadly,
once a month, a special open meeting for everybody. It doesn't have to be on Blue Yonder. It could be on Facebook itself. Just have it saying
you can do stuff on there.
And he's going, "No, you're trying to take over. It's Blue, and it's a group charity thing." And Ronnie will discuss it later and all that.
I think that's one we have to bring up with Ronnie and see what he thinks. To be honest.
Yeah, I said we'll leave it till next year, and when hopefully Jill's had an operation, things aren't quite so fraught with him. And maybe when he's upset because his house was got to sell. You have to take it off the market because the house they were going to get is gone. So he's had a lot of disappointment lately.
Yeah.
Never mind. Can't be helped.
No. Okay,
right.
thanks.
Okay,
very much.
Yeah.
I'll stop recording now. I didn't start recording until about 10 minutes after I pressed the button. I don't know why. Stop it now. Right. See you all on the 21st if you make it. Don't worry if you can't.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Everybody, take care. Bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
take
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
There we go. Stop.